Recently, the question on everybody's lips is, would a woman prefer to meet a random man in the woods or a wild bear? This question has caused much controversy and memes and all kind of interesting things to come out of it. So we're going to talk about it. Hey everyone, my name is Christian Verstappen, and I have a lot to say about many things. I want to talk about this whole meme situation. I was browsing Reddit and just through my homepage and came across this post here. Oh no, women picking a bear over a man is surely the most depressing thing that I've ever encountered. My fragile masculinity. Da 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 da. This is from Not How Girls Work, which I'm pretty sure I've mentioned before. Pretty good sub overall. And I was looking at this meme. Basic white girls who live in the suburbs, a 600-pound predator, apex or 600-pound apex predator with claws, teeth, and a top speed of 35. Safer to encounter than a random man, and the whole thing is basically they're choosing. Yes, it is. I read through the comments and didn't really understand what was going on here, but then I came across another one, and I decided, what is this? Because I kept coming across this meme. And I was like, what is this? Well, I went to r/out of the loop, also a really good subreddit for anybody that is out of the loop. I just saw, what is the deal with memes surrounding men and how they can't compete with bears all of a sudden? I just saw like 3 memes or references to bears and men and women this morning. And thinking back, I saw one yesterday too. Are women leaving men for earth sign lovers now or something? I'm not sure what that means. But, so, there's a know your meme. There was basically there was this post here on TikTok where, and you can, feel free to go through the whole article or what have you, but we're going to read through these things here. So I'm thinking this one was first and then this one. So we're going to go through all these here and see what's up. Audio? Hello? Oh.
Like, you can tell me that a woman would be less intimidated
Wait, what the fuck?
by a bear than a man. And honestly, I immediately
why is it blurred?
thought, no, I'd much rather face a bear while I'm alone in the woods than a man while I'm alone in the woods.
Okay, hold on. All right.
I saw this video of a guy responding to a comment, and the comment basically said, like, you can tell me that a woman would be less intimidated by a bear than a man. And honestly,
Oh, so I guess this one was actually first. No, seeing a man in the woods is not scarier than seeing a bear for so many reasons, bro.
Of course you don't. Girls are taught that if a man tries to abduct them by pushing them into a van or something like that, that they should fight with everything they have, and that it's better to die on the street than get in that van for whatever happens next. You know what else that girls are taught? That they should use their nails and their teeth so that afterwards there's DNA evidence. Afterwards, there's an assumption that this is going to happen at some point in a woman's life.
What kind of self-defense lessons does this guy think women are given? No, you're not meant to. I guess, like, you can do those things, but no, what are you talking about?
And that they need to know this information. You see, for men, the question of, is there anything worse than death? That's debatable. But it's not debatable for women. You ask any woman that question and they're going to say, yep, there are things worse than death. Now this
Yeah, of course there are things worse than death no matter who you are.
mindset that you have that so readily ignores the viewpoints of literally half of the people in the world, you can easily fix that through practicing empathy. So use your brain, use the brain that God or the universe or Cthulhu or whoever gave you, and tap into your imagination. Use your imagination to put yourself in someone else's shoes for a little while and feel what they feel, and then you'll start to understand. Do you know what
Wait, so
girls are taught? No.
So, okay, so is he empathizing with women here? He's trying to say, like, use your brain, try to figure out how women feel about this? Because I would agree with that, yes. It's very easy for men to think, like, what a lot of people don't understand, and we're going to get into this like a little bit more specifically here in a minute, but like, you know, the basic question that I'm kind of posing here, and that some people think about this is this misandrist? And I don't think it is. First of all, I think that the question of would you rather come across a random person or a random animal is like, I think it would always be better to come across a random animal, because, and a buddy of mine was talking to me about this at one point. We're talking with our friends, and he was saying, and this wasn't like a gender specific thing or anything like that, but he was just telling me, he's like, what scares me most about people is their unpredictability. You know that an animal, generally speaking, a wild animal, if you don't fuck with it, it's probably not going to fuck with you. That's not necessarily the case when it comes to another human being. Humans are very unpredictable. I would say that I would much rather come in contact with a wild animal that I don't know rather than a random person that I don't know. Even if it's a woman, we'll get into in a minute here, because people had kind of gender flipped it a little bit, but I don't really think that's the point. You know, the point. So, okay, we're going to check this one out here.
I immediately thought, no, I'd much rather face a bear while I'm alone in the woods than a man while I'm alone in the woods. Like, objectively, a crazy thought. Like, crazy thought. And my immediate rationalization for that thought is a bear can be reasoned with, which is the craziest thing I've ever thought, but it's true.
I wouldn't say a bear can be reasoned with, but again, a wild animal is not going to, generally, they're not going to fuck with you if you don't with them.
When you're facing a bear that might want to maul you, there are protocols in place. You can wave your arms and yell at the bear to let the bear know that you know it's there, and they generally won't attack you. And if a bear is attacking you, you can use bear spray or even punch them in the nose, and that gives you a pretty good chance of the bear stopping even momentarily from mauling you. We don't have that privilege with men. If a man has made the conscious decision that
Sure we do. Bear spray, pepper spray.
he wants to take sexual gratification from your body willingly or unwillingly, and he has decided to assault you or rape you, you cannot rationalize with him. In my experience, and in women in my life, those men cannot be rationalized with, okay? You can't, and even violence can't stop them.
I do agree with that. I think when a lot of people... So I have never had the displeasure of having this horrific occurrence, this crime committed to me. But I understand that this happens to a lot of people, and not just women. This happens to a lot of women, a lot of men, a lot of non-binary people, just a lot of people in general. It's a really horrific and common crime that a lot of people commit. I don't know the mindset somebody has to be in to commit such an act, nor do I know how it is to be in that situation, and I'm very grateful for that. But if somebody is like a wild animal at that point, then that kind of is, they're both kind of, you know, wild animals. I would still say, though, that yes, a bear would be safer, simply because no matter who it is, a human that has like gone off their nut and want to, and has decided that they're going to attack you and cause some physical harm, whether it be assault or any other thing that they're doing, they have they might be working off of instinct primarily, but not only instinct. You can still do things to kind of like outsmart a bear and stuff, because at the end of the day, it is it's an animal, and you're generally going to be smarter than it, right? But when it comes to another human being, they are reacting off of that instinct to do whatever that horrific act is to you, as well as the like general natural human thought process and everything that they already have, that the bear does not have that advantage to. So it is a much more dangerous situation, I would say, to be in that situation with a human that is trying to cause you harm, rather than an animal that could potentially cause you harm, or maybe they even are at the point of trying to cause you harm.
There's photos of men who raped women, and there's scratches, deep lacerations along their face. Their eyes have been almost fucking stabbed out. Their tits have been chopped off. And they still continue to try to assault these women. Like, it's insane, but it's true. Men who have made the conscious decision to rape a woman cannot be reasoned with like a wild animal can.
Yeah, no, I would venture to say that's accurate. I don't think any human in general, if they've made up their mind to, like, you know, rape, murder, whatever it is, somebody, really nothing is going to stop them, because you have to be so far gone and removed, like, empathetically, from that person and like dehumanize them so much that you can't be just snapped out of it. And it's not like a bear or maybe, I don't know, a coyote or some animal where you can just like throw meat in its direction and maybe it'll chase after that as opposed to chasing after you. No, it wants you and only you. This it as in this well, you know, at that point they're pretty much not really a human themselves at that point. So yeah, it you know the perpetrator, they want you and only you. Whatever act that whatever horrible act that is that they are committing. Now, I think it makes sense why this was kind of latched onto by women specifically. Um, Although, as I understand it, the question was originally posed by a man, and we're going to get to that in just a moment here as we continue down the belief it or not thing. So we have the spread, where of course women are talking about this, right? Truly devastating that so many men collectively agreed that they would rather come across women agreed they would rather come across a bear. Da da da. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Again, I think in general it would be safer to come across a wild animal than any random human. Like, okay, if you're in the middle of the woods, like late at night or something, or even just during the day, I just think that generally speaking, you're gonna have better chances with a wild animal. Now, this is assuming that they are going to be threatening, and I think that's the point too, right? Is where we're assuming that the animal is threatening or the human being is threatening here. But you know, even if they aren't, I don't know, man. If I just saw like a random person, I don't think I would be too chill with them, no matter who they were or what their gender or anything. I don't think I don't think most people would. Um, but I think the main thing, right, is about if they, yeah, if they are, you know, threatening, what's going to be more dangerous. Oof, just saw a video of a girl. I mean we can like watch the actual thing. This is probably going to have audio like music, right? Yeah, of course. Um, I mean, yeah, this is just people like doing their little looking at the camera with text over it thing, and the real point that they're making, right, is here. And I mean, like, no, I get it. Like that thought of, well, the worst a bear could do is kill me, whereas the man could do so much more. But again, like a lot of people, and we're gonna get to some of the memes here. Actually, we're not because I already saw that they've been deleted. But you know, a lot of men have gotten very like upset about this and you know, kind of turn it into like, oh, this is women being misandrist, or this is like all these different things. And I really don't think that's the case. I understand how you can look at this and you can say, oh, this is misandry, to say that like a man is worse than a wild animal, than a bear. I understand why you would think that, why a man would think that that's misandry. I also understand why women will say that's what they would prefer. And again, I agree with you. We're gonna get to it in a minute here, but people are also making the same thing about what if, you know, what if it was like a woman or an apple? Like it's weird. Some of the memes we're gonna get to here in a minute, but people that are getting offended by this, I think you aren't understanding the point, because the we're not talking about like your friend or somebody that you're expecting, or someone like you're meeting up, you're going on a hike together and you like got separated and you meet up again. We're not talking about anything like that. We're talking about you're just in the woods and you randomly, you know what, here, I think this is actually where it might have all come from, this little interview here.
With a man or bear?
Bear. Man is scary.
With a bear.
What I've heard about bears, they don't always attack you, right? Unless you like fuck with them. So maybe a bear.
Depends what man, but probably a bear.
Oh, 100% a bear, which is like terrifying.
No, see, they're even being nuanced in this kind of response. Well, it depends what kind of man, but probably a bear. No, I agree. I agree. If you're taking your chances with a random man or a random bear, yeah, I'm taking the bear too.
To say, but
Definitely a bear. Some men are very scary out there.
Yeah.
A bear. I would say a man.
Yeah. No, I totally get that. But again, like there are people also saying like it depends. What is this? Oh my god.
With a man or bear?
Bear. Man is scary.
Some dude just reacting to it.
With a
Okay,
bear.
hold up.
what I've heard about bears, they don't always attack you, right?
Hold up. What's this?
Would you rather be stuck in a forest with a man or bear?
Bear. Men are scary. With a bear.
Well, I've heard about bears. They don't always attack you, right? Unless you like fuck with them. So maybe a bear.
Depends what man, but probably a bear.
That video has gone viral everywhere, asking women if they would choose a man or a bear to be lost with or being in a forest with, and all of them answered bear, and I think the answer is correct.
Well, actually, to be fair, one of them answered man, but okay, let's see what he says.
Why would a woman choose a man over a bear, where the number one predator of that woman is the man and not the bear? There's a really good documentary by Herzog called Grizzly Man, and it's the story of a woman and a man that are in the Alaskan wilderness bonding with bears. Timothy, the guy who actually recorded the footage, is said that he spent over 35,000 hours or a span of 13 years with bears. A lot of them were grizzlies, which is the highest aggressive bear you can find in the forest. Eventually, he got killed by one of them, but it took a while. The worst you can experience is a probably swift death, but a woman would be like in a far worse situation with a man if she's put in with the wrong one in a forest. And she probably wouldn't experience death that quick. It would be something else. Probably to say, it's terrible too when you think about it, because a lot of the movies portrayed in Hollywood where a man is lost with a woman in the wilderness usually ends up in a romantic situation. And these movies are produced by men, because a lot of men think that eventually the woman would submit to him emotionally and sexually. But you barely ever see any movies where the man and the woman survive without any relationship between them whatsoever. The submission is like kind of expected in our society, which is very strange. If I was a woman, I would definitely choose the bear. At least you know what's coming.
Dude, again, I would choose the bear even as a man. Like, this guy gets it. This is really good. This is a really good take. It's funny that he brought up that documentary on the bears too. I don't think that's really relevant, but it's funny nonetheless. And then we have, God, I hate, oh God. Okay, so we're doing, it's another one of the text with audio things again. Nope, no copyright. Would you rather, okay. Weird question, the fuck. Bear would leave my body alone after kill. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's, yeah, exactly. People are sick. It's horrific what many people will do to other people before and or after killing them. It's like, there are serial killers that have done this to victims before they've killed them. There are people that, one thing that needs to be understood with this, and I think it's really complicated with these kind of things, because this is one of those things where a lot of men that get really like tetchy about this take the message the wrong way. It's the same thing with like the hashtag men are trash. In general, yeah, a lot of us are. A lot of men are. It's really fucking sad. But it's not the same as all men. And when you respond with like, not all men, you're right, but you need to understand where that mentality is coming from. It's the same thing when men think like, they've been burned by a handful of women or whatever, and they see, toxic women on social media and stuff, and they think, oh, all women are gold diggers, all women are cheaters, all women are this, that, and the third. One of the points of it is that social media in general does, of course, amplify that negativity that we see of each other. And you got to understand, on social media, the most extreme personalities and events and all those different things are what really like take off and go viral and what everybody sees. So you're not going to have the most like level-headed people doing these. Now with like that interview that those women were doing, that was pretty level-headed, but generally speaking, you're not going to be having the most nuanced discussions with these kind of things. I apologize for my camera, by the way. I realize it's lagging. I'll have to fix that later. Yeah, it's if you are a man and you hear these kind of things, something I implore you to do is to think from the woman's perspective that's saying these things, and also think about, are you that kind of guy, or are you actually a good man who probably doesn't actually need to worry about it? See, the good thing, I heard this recently, and I very much agree with this idea. the good thing is that if you are worried that you are that kind of guy, you're worried that you're a creep, you're whatever it is, if you, for example, have, an issue with hitting on women, for example, because you don't want to impose or you don't want to like disturb them or whatever, you're already on the right track. You are respecting boundaries. Now, I'm not saying that means you shouldn't ever approach or anything like that. What I am saying is, if you are the kind of person who has that like cognizant thought and you think, okay, I don't want to come off as a creep, I don't want to burden them, I don't want to cause them discomfort, anything like that, you are not the kind of man that this sort of thing applies to, or that the hashtag men are trash applies to. But you got to understand, there are many, many, many men out there who will do horrific things to women. Absolutely horrific things. And sometimes other men too, many different things. A lot of it is because, especially if we're talking about assault specifically, I really like the phrase and the saying, the understanding of it, that rape is not a crime of sex. I mean, it is. It's like done through sex, but it is a crime of power. People don't rape someone else because they find them physically attractive. They might have started in that situation because they found them physically attractive, but the actual like prospect of committing the act is one where it's like you're in control over them and you're asserting dominance over them, or I should say they are. I'm trying to like put you in the head of a perpetrator so you understand of like how horrific you have to think and be to be that kind of person. And generally speaking, I'm gonna go out on a limb. I will honestly say most guys are not like that, but far too many are. Just like most women are not gold diggers. They're not going to give you false allegations. They're not going to try to baby trap you. They're not going to do any of that bullshit. They're not, like, none of that. But there are a decent amount that will. That is true. But understand that the fears, generally speaking, that men and women have when it comes to dating and relationships and all that are very different. There's an incredible movie that I'd recommend everybody watch. I cannot recommend this film enough. I'm going to pull it up here. I think I've mentioned it before, but I strongly recommend everybody watches this movie called Promising Young Woman. It used to be on Netflix. I think you can find it through other means if you know how. You get what I mean. But this film is absolutely fantastic because one of the things that it did for me, and some people hearing this might think that's not what you were supposed to take from it, but one of the things that it did for me was it showed me the horrific things, the really sleazy ways that nice guys often are, and held up a mirror to myself to be like, is this how you are? And when I looked at that and could honestly say, no, I'm nothing like that. I'm like honest and straightforward and all those different things. I was able to look at that and say, okay, those are the kind of guys, and there are plenty of those guys out there who are total creeps, but there are also people like me and many other men who feel like they get lumped in with that, when in actuality, we aren't actually the people being addressed with those kind of things. I mean, these kind of the main thing that these guys would do in the film was basically like they would find a way to kind of they would get these women like extremely drunk to the point where they couldn't consent. They couldn't consent. They couldn't say no. They were just extremely drunk, and they took advantage of them. And they played the whole nice guy thing. They'd find like a drunk girl at a bar. Oh, I'll take you home. Oh, and they'll be, oh, hey, let's stop at my place on the way. Before they know it, liquoring her up even more, get her in bed. Yeah. It was horrific. Absolutely horrific. So for me, and I think this would be true for a lot of people that would watch this, if you can look at that and you can honestly say, I'm not like that, then great. You're one of the good ones. And there are more good men, I believe, than there are bad men. Just I believe there are more good women than there are bad women. It's the worst of the worst that ruins it for everybody. Like, guys often talk about how, oh, it's not fair, how men always have to approach and men have to, women are always like on edge about men and all this stuff. Yeah, because there are so many men that will take advantage of women, and it's absolutely horrific. So women have to constantly be on edge and constantly have to do like, shit tests and all these other different things, because like they they have to like feel out, not only are they attracted to you and can you handle like, can you vibe with them and stuff in general, but are you going to hurt them? It's horrific. And for any women watching, I really do feel free. I should even say just any femme presenting people, because I know that this kind of stuff happens to non-binary people and such as well. It's absolutely excuse me. It's absolutely horrific. So, okay, let's see here. We have more screenshots. I also choose bear because at least everyone will believe you when you say you were attacked by a bear. I choose the bear. Hey, men, you have now become so dangerous to us that we would rather take our chances with a wild bear. Okay, wow, y'all really need to start listening. This is sad to me. Again, anyone who said not all men is exactly that. No. So this is, okay, so this is the kind of problem I have with this type of rhetoric, because when you have this like generalizing, where it's like, see, men, this is why you're so bad. This is how you destroy nuance, you essentialize, and you push men over into the red pill, far right, women hating bullshit. And that's not what you want to do here. There's a level of responsibility that men need to have with other men in holding them accountable with other men. And I've had discussions like this with friends of mine. I know I wouldn't be friends with anybody who did these kind of things. In general, I would not maintain a friendship with them. But we've talked about these things with my own friend group about like how how we treat women and stuff like that. And there's a general, a lot of this really comes from like just a lack of respect for women, which is like, it doesn't make sense to me, but there are a lot of guys who will like be attracted to women, date them, hook up with them, and respect them less for hooking up with them. And I have to wonder if that's like a self-esteem issue on their part, where they think, well, if she would hook up with me, then she's not, or if she would date me, then clearly she's not like worth anything. And it's like, even if that is the case, dude, like, what the hell? I never understood this mentality of like, I'm going to think less of this woman for being open and like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, you know, enthusiastically sexually interested in me and stuff and like that. It's like, well, why would you lose? Like, it never made sense to me. Like, it's like there are guys who will like complain about, having to approach women and stuff, and yet when a woman approaches them, they're like, oh, that's too masculine. It's like, what the dude, what? Like, what are you doing? Like, oh, it just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense. But moving on, but again, this kind of rhetoric just, it hurts, because like what we need more than anything with these kind of discussions, truthfully, with these kind of situations, is we have to have that level of nuance. We cannot essentialize, because that is how we get to the red pill and the MGTOW and all that bullshit. That is how men fall into that shit. Because you have people like myself who, like, okay, I never like totally fell into any of those kind of things, but I definitely felt slighted when I'd see things about like hashtag men are trash or like all these different things, and then women would kind of bite back and be like, yes, all men or whatever. Like, it hurts. And for a lot of people who are seeing this stuff growing up, maybe they're in middle school or high school or whatever, like, this kind of stuff, this rhetoric is really damaging to people. Because one of the things it does too is it furthers the battle of the sexes. And there's no reason that men, women, male, female, whatever, like, we shouldn't be fighting each other. Well, it's so wild to me how, like, people who are so physically attracted to each other can have so much animosity for each other. Like, I know there's the meme, and it's very true, where a lot of times you'll see things about men posting really negative things about women, and you just think, like, do men even like women? Like that. I mean, that's true. That does definitely happen. But, like, I don't know. I mean, I know there are people who think, like, and look, there's a lot that goes into all of this stuff. You know, there's a lot with, like, you know, purity culture and how, especially here in the United States, we view sex as, like, basically a bad, sinful, dirty thing. So therefore, a woman that's going to either do that on her own with other men, or do it for a living, or just, you know, elicit that desire in you, like, that a lot of men feel that that's wrong, because, you know, again, because a lot of it has to do with the puritanical views and stuff we have regarding sex, and it's absolutely disgusting. But, like, this kind of essentialization, I just realized my cursor's not on. Give me just a minute here. Yeah, so this kind of discussion is, you know, like, we need to understand the perspective that, like, yes, this is, like, I understand where you're coming from, and I agree, but I'm sorry, we have to be careful about the kind of language and the way we represent this type of argument, if you will. But all right, let's see. Why does this is from? Well, it doesn't matter. Why does everyone keep choosing the bear over the man? The bear will. The bear is fucking predictable. The bear acts on instinct and doesn't want anything to do with you. The bear isn't going to kill anyone to protect his reputation. Bears can be planned for. No, I agree with this. And again, I think this is true for any um any random person. Like, I I love people in general. I think people are great. I really do. But if we're talking survival slash avoiding horrific acts done to your body, I'm sorry, but you are better off with a wild. Everyone is better off with a wild animal than another human. Just the way it is. I don't mean to say that, like, humans are inherently bad, or men are inherently bad, or women are. None of that. I am against the essentialization that a lot of people are taking with this. And that's the big issue that I have with all these things, is, like, this stuff needs to be phrased in the right way and discussed in the right way. Because if it's not, again, you just push people away. And we don't want to push people away. We shouldn't want to push people away. Look, here's the thing, too. A lot of people, in all aspects of any of this stuff, ultimately are very, well, hurt. And there's a lot of projection that happens. There's a lot of projection where they, of course, again, men do it all the time. We see it all the time, how men do it, where they're like, oh, she's gonna be a gold digger, a cheater, or whatever, all these different things. It's like, dude, you had some bad experiences with women, and that's terrible, and you've seen some bad shit online, but most people aren't going to be like that. Or like, a lot of guys are really scared that if they even talk to a woman in public, they even try to hit on a girl, ask her out, ask for her number, whatever it is, she's going to, you know, say he assaulted her. Or if the date doesn't go well, she's going to say he assaulted her. All these different, and, like, yes, these things can happen, but dude, like, it's so much projection. And there's a level of projection that is happening with women too when they do this kind of thing. There's a level of truth to it, and that does need to be understood and addressed. But there's also a level of like, you have to understand that you can't make these sweeping statements about anybody and expect things to get better. That's only going to make things worse. So you get the idea, right? People are talking about all this stuff, right? No, the question is whether or not... I've seen this person before on Twitter. I've seen this echo. They've come up in different, like, you know, whatever those, I don't know, homepage or whatever. Anyway, the question is whether or not you'd rather be stranded in the woods with a man or a bear, not the father/brother or a bear. What? Oh, yeah, not their father/brother or a bear. The entire concept is that you don't know who the man is. You have to assess which option holds the most risk, and the man is the riskier bet. 100%. A random human that you don't know is a riskier option than a wild animal. I'm sorry, that's just, I agree, 100%. Would you rather be alone in the forest with a man or a bear? I don't know how to tell you this. I'm not sure if that's Geralt from the... No, that's not Geralt. I thought that's who it was at first. No, that's... Oh, that's that hot guy everyone loves from Baldur's Gate 3. Let's see. And then we got a silver picture here. I think I really want to read this in Silver's voice. But I'm not going to for the sake of severity and everything. I think people need to realize that a sufficiently motivated bear is just as likely to kill you as a human. It weighs twice as much as you do and has knives for hands, and you might be in its territory without ever knowing. All right, Silver, bad take. I understand what they're saying, but like, again, here's the thing, right? You can do things to get a bear to get away from you. A human being that has separated your humanity and has decided they are going to kill you or assault you or do whatever it is, they are not going to be stopped. They're just not. You're not going to run away from them and they're going to give up like a bear would. You're not, or any wild animal. You're not going to, like, any of these things. It's just not going to happen. An animal that is acting on instinct to either feed themselves, feed their young, or protect itself or its young, that's like all its motivation. If you're in the way of any of those things, you could be a target. But a human can attack you for so many other reasons. That's the thing. Ladies, would you rather be lost with a man? Oh wait, to be fair, as I understand it, I think. Wait, let me make sure that I get this correct here. I think black bears are generally shy and fearful of humans, but they can lose their fear of humans if they regularly find food near human activity. Black bears are not territorial toward people. Okay, so yeah, generally speaking, black bears are a lot safer than grizzly bears. Is basically what I wanted to fact check, and yeah. So yeah, if it's a black bear, oh, you're definitely better off. Also, look how cute he is. Average man in the eyes of a girl that chooses a bear in Would You Rather. What? Is this a JoJo thing? Is that a JoJo reference? I think it is. I'm only tacitly familiar with the JoJo. Okay, maybe that's like a villain from JoJo or something. I don't know, but yeah. So yeah, of course, shut up. Why did this question peak in... What happened in March of 2012 that people were asking about this then? What happened? Can I see? Will it show me? I don't think so. No, it won't. That's odd. Yeah. In any case, I'm going to keep going through here. Okay, this I don't see. So that meme was deleted, unfortunately. Would you rather come across in the forest a woman or an apple? Again, like, and that was on r/askmen. An apple. Like, I'm sorry. If you're like, you do not want to come across a random human in the middle of the woods. You just don't. You just don't. Like that guy said, like, yes, it works in movies and stuff, but that's the fantasy. And I do want to point out how that guy earlier mentioned how these are movies made by men. A lot of times these kind of movies and books and stuff are made by women as well, but that's the fantasy. You know, a woman doesn't actually want to be stuck on a deserted island with a man that she just hopelessly falls in love with. You know, not in real life. Just like a man doesn't actually, or sorry, just like she doesn't actually want to be with a boss that stalks her and borderline abuses her. I think that's basically the plot of 50 Shades of Grey. If I'm getting that right. By the no, I'm not gonna. No, I will. There's a better version of 50 Shades of Grey that exists out there, which is actually an adult movie, if you will, and it is far better. It's not a parody. It's a legit. I wish I could talk about it like specifically, but I can't for obvious reasons. No, I think I can. It's called The Submission of Emma Marx, and it's by New Sensations, and it's from their like spin-off thing called Tales of Erotica or something. Tales of something. It's like 50 Shades of Grey except better. Now it still has like the unhealthy power dynamic and stuff, but I remember watching and legitimately thinking like, wow, this is actually a really fucking good plot. I unironically watched it for the plot. I'm not even joking. Anyway, I want to touch on that real quick, but no. If you are just because something exists in a fantasy and you might really like the fantasy of it does not mean the actual thing of that happening is real. Let me give you a perfect example. I detest infidelity. I fucking hate it. It's emotionally abusive. It potentially hurts the person that you're cheating with if they also have a partner. Like all these different, it's not good. It's not good. It's not good. However, I really like the fantasy of cheating. I like role playing it with a partner. I like watching adult content of it. I fantasize about it in general. Like, it's one of my go-tos. The idea of being that person that you are so attractive, somebody else leaves their relationship for you is, yeah, that's a really incredible fantasy. But it's a fantasy. I would never do it in real life. I would never cheat on my own partner in real life, nor would I ever want to be with somebody who is cheating on their partner in real life. The fantasy of that is great, but the real thing is horrific. Another great example. A lot of guys will point out how, oh, women hate this stuff, but really they actually like being abused in bed because look how they want to be choked and all these different things. And some women do, absolutely. Not all, and you definitely need to have that talk with a partner before you just do any of those things, because what the fuck are you doing? But the fantasy is different from the reality. Yes, a lot of women, even if they haven't experienced the actual act of it happening to them, have rape fantasies. They do not want it in real life. At all. At all. Women, men, people have fantasies of being with somebody who's like their boss or their teacher or their whatever, like all these different things, right? That doesn't mean they want to act on it in real life. There's a difference between fantasy and reality. What you're able to fantasize about and enjoy and all that in that context versus reality. That's why when couples do, or anybody does in the community, in the kink community, it's called CNC, which stands for consensual non-consent. It's rape roleplay. It's roleplay. And if you do that, you need to have safe words. You need to have, especially depending on how hard you go, for lack of a better way to phrase it, you need a shit ton of aftercare. You need all these different things. So like you can have even these fantasies in the right context, but that doesn't mean anybody wants to experience these things for real. And the reason I bring up fantasy versus reality and stuff like that, and I want to call attention to that, is because I know a lot of people will look at this kind of thing and they'll be like, oh, they say they'd rather a bear than a man, and they say they don't want this and that. Well, look how they are with, like, whatever it may be, right? I just wanted to touch on that as far as the whole, fantasy thing goes and stuff like that. But getting back to this, again, from Not How Girls Look, would you choose the bear or the man? The whole would you choose a man or a bear to be stuck within the woods argument was made by a man and not as an argument. Yes, he said it to prove what he already knew, that women would choose the bear because he understood why. Now I'm going to explain why. Statistically, the chances of... Okay. Yeah, fuck it, we'll read the whole thing. Statistically, the chances of a bear harming a human are 1 in a million. Bears don't actually want to hurt people. They have no desire to. The only reason a bear would ever attack a human is if they feel that they or their cub is being threatened by the person. Statistically, the chances of a man harming a woman are 1 in 5, or even 1 in 3 in most places. Jesus Christ. That means that there's less than a 1% chance that you'd be harmed by a bear if you come across it in the woods. There's a 20 to 30% chance that a woman would be harmed by a man if she came across him in the woods. Yeah. Humans are unpredictable. And again, if they've already made that, like, cognitive dissonant, they've disconnected you, dehumanized you, and have decided I am going to do X crime, and it doesn't even have to be assault. There are crazy people who will just, like, want to mutilate someone for the hell of it, because they're sadistic. There are people who do all kinds of horrific things. And if you struggle so much to if you as a man watching or a woman watching or whoever, if anybody, like, you struggle to understand this concept, just think any other crime, any other thing, because you could have the same thing occur with any human, any random human. I live in Florida. If I broke down on the side of the road in the middle of nowhere, I would much rather see an alligator coming my way rather than a random person just walking toward me in the middle of the night, in the middle of the dark. That's fucking prime horror movie shit right there. You kidding me? An alligator, yeah, it fucking freaks me out and I want it to go away, but, like, generally speaking, if I don't fuck with it, it's not gonna fuck with me. Humans aren't like that. Humans, we are incredible species, and there's so much love and relationships and kindness and good things that we can have with other human beings. But we're also unpredictable. Humans can do horrific, horrific things. And that is really what this gets to the root of. The point is, we don't want to choose the bear, bro. So you need to look within yourself to figure out why I'm making that choice. Yeah. Now, I will say, if somebody said that about you specifically, would you rather be trapped in the wood? Would you rather be lost in the woods with a bear, or, your friend, your boyfriend, your whatever, and they say you, whether you be the friend, the boyfriend, whatever it is, that's where you gotta do some digging and just thinking, like, oh shit, what have I done to make them feel this way? Because if they don't, like, they're saying they don't feel safe around you, and that's not good. That's not conducive for a friendship, and it's not conducive for anything, right? Like, I think I would rather be lost in the woods with someone I know, sure, a close friend, but a random human or a random animal, yeah, I'm taking the bear, and most people are. I'm sure there are plenty of people who are going to use this to do some anti-feminist, whatever crusade about how, oh, they're saying all men are bad, blah, 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 now we're not even good enough as bears, all this different stuff. I'm sure there are going to be people that take it and blow it out of proportion, say this is extremely misandrist and all these different things. And there will be people who will be misandrist about it. There will be people, men and women, who will be misandrist about it. There will be people who will do the whole all men are trash and all those kind of things. There will be people who do that 100%, 1,000%. I promise you, there will be bad actors in this cause. There always are. But that is why it's important to understand not to essentialize this kind of thing. And to think for yourself, if you're offended by this, really think about if you should be. Are you offended because you think this is actually talking about all men? Or is it possible that the person who's writing this is projecting and you happen to fit the category that they're placing everybody under, but you don't actually fit that category? And if you think about it and you think, well, even with those things in mind, yeah, I do, you got to do some serious changing. But if you aren't, what are you getting offended for? It's not about you. It's not directed toward you. It's not. And again, it's the same thing. Now, there are men who will generalize, and they'll do the whole thing with women where they'll be like, again, all women are, So, but it's the same thing. Like, if you're a woman and you see that and you're offended by that, think about it and think like, these are hurt men who are projecting. Do you fit that bill? Because if you don't have anything to be offended by. But this is the problem when it comes to, slogans and all these hashtags and catchy, phrases and stuff like that. It strips the nuance. And we have to have that, especially when we have these kind of discussions about such important and horrific things. But no, this is not inherently misandrist. If you see people posting this or saying this or whatever, it does not mean the woman actually hates all men. And if you see men who are upset about this, try to understand where they're coming from too. Maybe take a look at them and see kind of like, okay, are you like offended because you're catching strays, or does this actually apply to you, kind of thing? Encourage people, and especially other men, encourage other men to really look at this and look at themselves and all of these different things. As well, I cannot recommend enough, please watch Promising Young Woman. My God, it is an incredible film, and it will help you understand women's perspectives so much more with these things, and it will help you understand, are you actually a creep, or are you just catching strays that aren't even for you? You know what I mean? Like, you're not even actually catching strays, but like, you feel like you are, essentially. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Anyway, as always, these are just my thoughts. Let me know what yours are in the comments down below. Follow me on social media for more. Subscribe, ring the bell to stay up to date. Leave a like if you like. And if not, I hope you find something to do like. Take care of each other out there, guys. Peace and love.